Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for coming back to this channel or for coming for the first time. Welcome. My name is Maureen, and today we're going to do a bit of a different type of video than we usually do on this channel. What I have been doing and what I will continue to do is narrate near-death experiences. Today, I wanted to try and do a reaction video because sometimes I get sent videos from family or friends about people who've had incredible spiritual experiences, and I thought this would be really fun to share with some of the viewers on my channel. I hope you enjoy this. Today's video was actually recommended to me by my husband. It's about an African man who was a warlock, and he practiced a lot of witchcraft for a long time, and then eventually got into Satanism, and he got delivered at some point. His story is incredible. I haven't listened the whole way through, but I started, and this is going to be a really good ride. Of course, I welcome you and encourage you to watch the entire video because we're just going to be covering a few interesting clips in this one. So if you want to see the entire video, click on the link below. It's really good. It's worth a watch. Let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to start it from where he starts talking about his mother, because I think that was very relevant to give context to what he went through.
She went on different witch doctors, different altars, different and also she conceived again a sixth child, also a girl. And she tells me that she was so desperate because she knew if she can't get a son, she will lose the marriage, and now her life will be wasted. On this particular journey where she went, she was told to go to a forest in Tanzania. So she went there, and she realized that when she arrived at the place, they told her she had to undress and live in the forest for 7 days, going through cleansing.
Wow.
First of all, I thought it was really crazy that she was willing to go through so much to have a child, especially in the society that we live now. It feels like it's almost like everybody's doing everything they can not to have children. So to hear somebody so desperately want a child, that is insane. And how so many people can prey on that desire to have a baby or to have a child and use that kind of desperation against you. Just wanted to say that because that really hit me because I have 2 children.
Wow.
Before she appears before the person to help her. Now, before there's something I want us to note here, that was the king of darkness, but they understand the principle of consecration and cleansing.
Yeah.
Now I understand after that. So they tell her you have to undress, stay in the forest, cold, don't eat anything cooked for 7 days. So after the 7 days, you are clean enough to appear before this priest who was going to help her. So she says when she appeared after 7 days, that this priest was a woman who always lived in the forest. And she was like the chief witch of the entire continent, because all the witch doctors.
I mean, the entire country
of Africa, not continent.
Wait, she was the chief witch of the entire continent of Africa.
Of Africa. So
wow.
All the witches or the wizards or the sorcerers or the politicians, the leaders could go to her for powers. So she lived in the forest, that woman, that priest, and she had only one breast in the middle of the chest.
Okay, so the whole idea of consecration and ritualization, it's interesting because I remember hearing that basically like the devil and demonic entities, they will take things that are holy and pervert them and make them unholy. And so I thought that was so interesting because that's exactly what they're doing. The idea of cleaning yourself, consecrating yourself. And it's almost like they just want to see if you'll do what they say. Like they want you to jump through the hoops to see if you're going to obey them and do these things. It's almost like a commitment that they want to see from you, from the person who's doing it. And it's interesting that they call it consecration or cleanliness. I thought that's ironic, but let's continue.
One day,
naked,
leaves and
fruits for 7 days. Wow. And then after 7 days, you appear before her. That was the ritual. And it was like everyone had to go through that. So there were many people there. So she said when she appeared, when she came to her, she looked at that witch, that priest looked at my mother and said, "Go away, I will not help you." So she has been in the forest for 7 days. Now she's walking away. She says this. Now, this is what she told me. She said, as she was going away, she looked in the sky and saw a sign, something that told her that she has a son. She doesn't know at all. So she walks back to the place where they register, and she tells them, please, I want to go and try again. Then they tell her, but also, if you try again, you have to go again through another 7 days. Now, the 7 days she went through, and then she went another 7 days, that's 14 days. Later, I'll be sharing with you, when I was sick, my deliverance, I had to go through the same cycle of being delivered, the 7 days and another 7 days, but now in the church setting. Because I want to tell people that salvation is free, but deliverance is a price. A price of consecration and being set apart.
Okay, that was good. Salvation is free, but there's a price for deliverance. I've heard this notion a lot. I would love to know what you guys think in the comments about this. The idea that even if you're saved, you might still need to be delivered from things from your past. What do you guys think about that? Because I grew up in a different type of environment, like a very orthodox environment, and they did not have anything called deliverance. So, you know, I'm still trying to understand what it means and if it's biblical and stuff like that. So, but what do you guys think about that? That's a really interesting point.
So the second time, the next 7 days, she goes to appear. And when the priestess saw her and said, you are back. Then my mother tells me, said, okay, I'm back, but you need to help me. Then this woman looks at her and says, well, I can help you, but I can see. Now, I don't know what eye they were using. I can see in the spirit, you have a son, but he's very far in the rocks.
It's very far in the rock.
In the rocks. Now, that's the statement of my mother. He's far in the rocks, and there is a strange star on him. If I bring him out, he will be a problem to our powers. The only thing I can do, if you can offer sacrifices, but also if you can accept the condition we shall give you. So my mother asked, what sacrifice? They told I have to give 7 cows for 9 months. That is 63 cows as a sacrifice. Then say, okay, I'll do that. You know, because she was desperate, she had the means. Then they tell her, okay,
7 cows every month for 9 months.
For 9 months. That is 63. Then the condition was, okay, if you conceive and give birth, and this is a boy, you promise you will offer him to that woman, the princess, as a husband. She didn't know what it means. She didn't know what it meant. First telling me she didn't know that it was that. And then they told her that, okay, when you give birth, you must bring that child to the forest before the end of the first day. In other words, before the sun goes over him. She tells me she didn't know what was involved in. So she left, offered the sacrifice, returned home, she conceived. To her surprise, she gave birth to a boy. Now, the vow was to carry that boy from the city where she gave birth to the forest around 300 and maybe 400 kilometers away from the city. And that is 1975. The transport means was not that good. I don't know how she traveled. So she travels from the city in Kampala to go to fulfill the vow. What shocked her, she tells me, when she arrived at the forest, this time she didn't go through the ritual, but there was like a wedding. Hundreds of people were gathered. They knew she was coming. Gathered for what? And she realized it was now going to be the wedding of her 1-day-old son and the 60-year-old woman.
So for those of you watching, I don't know if you understand.
Oh my gosh, guys. It's disturbing. I don't even know what to say about this. That's disturbing.
What he's just said. On the day he was born, on the day you were born, you were married to a
60-year-old witch.
A 60-year-old witch that was the Grand Master Witch for the continent of Africa. That is mind-blowing.
So after the ritual, after the ceremony, days of celebration and what, the wedding, the marriage is conducted, the covenant and all the sacrifices. So they tell her, you know what? Now, this child is not just a child. This is now a man. So you're not going to breastfeed him because now he is somebody's husband already.
Wow.
And she told me that in her mind, she said, well, okay, I'll go home. These people will not be there. I have to breastfeed my child. You know, I've suffered a lot. I've paid the price. I have done all this. Like he was treasuring this child. So she returns home. When she went home, my father said, where have you been? He said, okay, I had all this and this.
Wait, so did your father not know what she was doing?
He didn't know.
The father didn't know all this was going on? I thought the father wasn't in the picture. So the father and the mother were together, and the father did not know that the mother was doing all this stuff to conceive a child. Oh my gosh. Whoa. Imagine when that father finds out everything. That's insane.
My father, where's my wife? She's looking at her. So when she appears, so where have you been?
So he had no idea that she was this deep in her passion to find a boy or to get a son.
He didn't. The only thing he knew, like, my mother could disappear for days, and you know where he has gone. So when she returned home, she says, I was a baby. She put me in the baby cot in the bed, then go dress up, clean up, and then come and breastfeed the child. And when she returned, she found a python coiled around the baby. And she says she could not come near because of the python.
What?
So she ran out. The people of the village came around. My father came around. They could see the snake, and no one could come in.
Could they not kill the snake?
I don't know why. So she says for 30 days, for 3 months, she could not come near me.
So was the python wrapped around you every day, all day, 24/7?
24/7.
So there's a python wrapped around him in his baby crib for 30 days. How did he survive? How did he survive with no food for 30 days? Or no, 3 months. He said 3 months. She couldn't come near. How did he eat? I hope he gets into that. How's that possible?
She didn't come near me. The whole village could come and just peep in. And then there was rumors around that this woman gave birth to a child and a snake. Now, I heard those rumors when I was growing up. It was the talk of the town in their community. You know, that child is a twin. They could say, he's a twin. He was born with a snake. But my mother says, no, she didn't give birth to a snake. The snake just came when she came back to the house. Now, I don't understand how this was done. So after 3 months, my father left. Now, he picked the 6 girls and left the home. She remained alone. And because of that, my mother got a mental breakdown. So she was not like a mad woman in the community. So she's left alone with a child, a demon child, with a brother who was living with her. Now the husband, my father, and the children left. So she's deserted.
Ish.
So by the time I'm three years old, the only person I know is my uncle and my mother, who has no attachment with me. Why? She's mentally disturbed.
Okay, that's so sad. And I still don't understand how he survived 3 months with no food and no affection. But again, demon possessed. So I don't know. That's nuts. We're gonna move forward a little bit here.
So I was in charge of southern Uganda and northern Tanzania. So like that was a region which is called the Kagera Katonga region. Kagera is a river. So they divide the nation by rivers or by mountains. So say from this river is your territory. So I'm made in charge of that territory when I'm 7, the youngest. 7, when I was 7.
And did you say you were in charge of 5,000 witches?
Over 7,000.
Over 7,000 witches.
Over 7,000. You know, when you are made territorial leader in the territory, your first assignment is to destroy the one you are taking over from.
Wow.
So you have to destroy and kill all his priests and his witches, destroy everything, even him, for you to do that.
So was that like your first act of murder, so to speak?
Yes, the first assignment, because the king of darkness is about destroying. The devil came to kill, destroy, and rob. So you destroy others for you to reign. So the one who is in charge knows if another one is coming, they're coming to fight and kill. So there's that destroying. So I take over the territories, and they say this. I remember they would say, "This boy is wicked." Others, like, they had that human side of them, like pity and love, though they were in witchcraft. But now me, who didn't have any emotion, like raised without emotion, raised without a family, raised in bitterness, raised in anger, in rage, in all kind of hatred. So I could not feel anything like pity, like mercy and what.
Oh my God, that's so sad, first of all. Like a child, 7 years old, raised in hatred, anger, violence, God knows what else, and put as the overseer for 7,000 witches, meaning he had to kill a whole bunch of people at 7 years old. That's insane. That is dark.
By spiritual movement, obviously attacking them in dreams, sicknesses, all sort of things. And they knew they were in a battle with you,
with me. Because now they know another prince is rising, has to destroy the others. So they attack, you attack. And then if you are able to destroy them, let them, when they die, then you take over the territory. So I took that territory for only 2 years. After 2 years, I'd finished my assignment, and then I am made to be a trainer
of other witches,
or whoever wants to be trained.
Trained in anything,
in occult,
in occultism,
in astral projections, in what.
So by this time, you're 9.
I'm 9. So I'm now beginning to be a trainer. As I said, that my mother, though she had that mental problem, she kept thinking that she can break this and I become a normal child. By the way, I'm also going to school at the same time.
You were schooling?
Yes.
Well, how are you relating to all the other children? Because you said earlier that no one wanted to play with you.
Yes, but my mother took me to school. And I remember most of my teachers in the earlier years, I could be in school like thrice or 4 times a time.
Oh, wait. I don't mean to laugh, but the absurdity of the idea of a demonic influenced child who's overseeing all these witches and witchcraft and killing people, and yet still going to school. Like, what? I don't even know what to think at this point. This is insane.
In a term. But surprisingly, all my school up to university, I was always the best. But I was not attending classes. I could not attend classes, but I knew like I could go and write my exams and be the best without attending classes.
Wow.
And I can't tell how. So I could, as a child, I want to be.
Okay, on that note, that reminds me of exorcists who have talked about demon possession and stuff like that. And they said essentially that one of the signs that someone is possessed by demon is that they know things that they shouldn't know, or they speak in language that they don't actually know. That's actually a sign of demon possession, which is so interesting because a lot of people take that as like a gift. You know what I mean? And it is a gift if it's prophetic. That's what I think. If it's prophetic, meaning if it honors God and gives glory to God, but just knowing things, knowledge about the world and about people without any context for God, I feel like that's what this guy said he had. And I've heard priests who've done exorcisms say that that's one of the signs that somebody is demon possessed, which is crazy if you think about it.
There's a part of me already that longed to be a child. You know, even when I grew up and I became born again, I found that I find so attached to children than there's like a baby in me still longing to be a child. Because I missed that as a child. I missed that as a baby. I didn't have that love. I didn't. So there's a part of me, a part of my life that was skipped. And it's not only me. I believe I've found many people in my ministry of deliverance that their childhood was robbed out.
Their childhood was robbed from them.
Yes. Yeah. And I know some people watching right now, that may be one of the issues you're dealing with, that your child, a part of you was trapped as a child. There are many that
by rape, by
abuse, by trauma, exposure to witchcraft, death, accidents, and all this. And when your child is taken away robbed from you, you may find it hard to function in adulthood unless the Lord can trace back the moment of the trauma, the moment of the abuse, and move and carry you through to bring to a place of healing. Now, for me, my childhood had taken away. Though, as I was growing up, I want to relate with people. I wanted to be there's a part of me that long, I look at children and want to be like them. But then if I relate with them, then the powers in me could maybe destroy them.
And wait, were these powers out of your control?
Yes, they're out of my control.
Really?
Yeah. So I didn't have,
You show up and things just happen.
and just happen.
Give us examples, like, because in your book you were saying something about you looked at someone and they fell over and they
died. I can look at a child like in school and I feel like the child just falls down and collapses and faints.
Oh my gosh. So that sounds very much like demon possession because it's not in his power, not in his control. So it sounds very much like what I've heard about demon possession. Praise God, I have never had to, I'm protected against that. But still, that is terrifying.
I look at a teacher. I remember one time I was in like early years, after kindergarten. I looked at the teacher. Maybe she shouted at me and she became blind.
What? Did she know that was you that did that to her?
Yes. Because I think she tried to find out and say, you can. So she came to me and said, can you help me get back my sight? I said, okay, you will. Then the next day she was seeing.
Wow.
And so she told everyone in the school then that they feared to send me out of the school because they didn't know what will happen to the school.
Ish.
Now that's the early years. So these forces were in me, out of my control. I didn't do them by my will. Because remember, as a 3-year-old, we were trapped in a cave.
I just want to take this moment to say that if you're a Christian and you're listening to this, don't get scared. These powers are just razzle dazzle for show. But if you have the blood of Christ protecting you, you don't have anything to worry about. You will not be touched by this. I just want to say that. Okay. Stay close to Jesus. That's all I want to say. Let's continue.
So it's as if your will is blocked. You are taken, something has taken over your life. And I know there are people even who today, they have not recovered their will. If they were involved in the occult, in witchcraft, in abuse, in all these, they may have been trapped. That's why they need inner healing. They need deliverance. They need now someone to walk them the journey of healing. People can hear the gospel, but there must be a ministry that facilitates the healing of the soul, especially the people that were trapped, especially in childhood. There's what they call the sexual abuse, the ritual sexual abuse. And because when I was there, most of these businessmen, the musicians, the celebrities could come for powers. And the way to get the powers, say, go and find a young child, a virgin, and rape her, sexually rape her, maybe 7. Like they're going to have a show and say before.
Wait, I mean, so a lot of this trafficking makes me think of all this child trafficking and how demonic it actually is, how it has its roots in like actual spiritual things. Some of it, I'm not saying everything, obviously, but even the things that are not spiritually done, like in a ritual sense, but it's demonic, it's evil. And now that he's saying that, it makes perfect sense that people who abuse small children, that some of them are doing it for spiritual reasons. It's disgusting. God help us.
For that show to be successful, find a guy.
They're going to have a what?
Like a show, like a music show.
Music show, right. Okay.
A concert.
A concert, yes.
And they come for power and say, for that power, you need to find guys, rape them, sexually abuse.
I don't know if you guys are privy to what is happening in Hollywood right now, but all of these people in Hollywood have been getting exposed for sexual abuse, like abusing minors, in the music industry, in TV, in a lot of things. And this is essentially what he's saying. This is essentially what he is saying. Whoa. That's disgusting. God, we need to be praying for this. Community, we need to be praying for this.
And as a child, in those early years, you were giving some of these instructions to some of these celebrities.
To celebrities, to politicians, to businessmen, and all this for spiritual powers.
And so when they do that act, they're also initiating that child. So the people that have experienced some of these horrific acts and don't even know that they were initiated through those acts.
They don't know. They find that part of them was robbed and taken away. And some of them, like this, for example, let me give an example. A musician, a celebrity, who gathers young girls around himself to use them every time before he goes for a concert. So those girls, they have been initiated. And then they go to their friends in schools and initiate also their friends and maybe relatives, like their brothers, their sisters, and expose them to the powers of darkness.
What are fruits that we see in the life of a person that helps us to know that there's been an initiation?
Isolation, rebellion, addiction, anger.
That's so sad. We got to be praying for our young people.
So that man tells my mom, take him to the church. So she comes home, finds me back home normal, and say, why did you do this? So she gets me and takes me to the bishop who conducted the wedding.
Oh, no.
Because that's the church she knew.
No.
This is the bishop who conducted the wedding, marrying you to a 60-year-old witch, and then your mom takes you back to the same bishop
to say, she tells that bishop, about me, what I've been doing, and he says, yes, I've been hearing about him, but I think we can help him. Now I realized later he accepted me not to, because now it was like put me in school in the seminary.
Wait, I'm trying to understand. When you say they took you to, so you were in seminary at 12?
12.
And what, were you learning the Bible? So what kind of...
I'm supposed to be like in a normal school, because early in the seminary, you're like in a normal secondary school.
Okay, a normal secondary school, but it's called a seminary. But it's run by what, the church in Corpus.
Yeah. So I am there, and I thought I was now going to be like a student, go learn about the Bible, learn about God, and become a priest. I realize now
they were just interested in your power.
Just interested in, not even to educate me, they're interested in the powers. So most of the time I am there from the age of 12. That year I'm there. I am living in the same house with a priest. And every night they come with books, with what to ask me about the spirit world. So they ask me this and that and that. And I enjoy it. I enjoy being in charge. All my life, I always enjoy like to be in charge, to control others. Like there was a deficit in me, and so I'm telling them all the powers. They are writing this, they are right, like researchers. They are sitting around me.
And this is going on for what, years?
For years, for a year.
So in all that time, you didn't learn anything about Jesus, about scriptures, and you were in a Christian environment, in quotes.
I remember the end of the year, this bishop and another priest told me, we have a scholarship for you. We are going to send you to Europe for training. And so in me, I thought, okay, I needed, but they told me they needed the consent of my father. So my father, that's the first time I'm seeing my father. He came to the school to sign the papers, sign my documentation, because I was not going to be moved from Uganda to go to Europe.
And so wait, Bavin, so you're 16 now?
No. I'm 13.
You're still 13. Oh, you said 4 years later.
No, 2 years.
2 years later. So, okay.
So I'm 13, and now they tell me you have a scholarship to go and study in Europe. Now, for the sake of the sensitivity of this, I may not mention
where.
Where. But
can you tell us the country?
I was in Italy.
Italy, okay.
In Italy. So I'm sent to Italy.
I mean, I don't think it's very hard to put 2 and 2 together in this situation. He was sent to Italy to study religion with a priest and a bishop. God forgive me, but I know you're thinking what I'm thinking. Let's continue.
Italy for
at 13.
At 13. Okay. I'm going without my mother. I'm going alone with a group of priests. I remember the 2 priests had come from Italy. They were sent from Italy to come and investigate, interview me, and make a recommendation. So they asked me about the spirit world, about these, about powers, about systems, and they're like, well, "How did you know all this? You've never gone to school. You've never gone to a theology or to any university, but you know all the things about the spirit realm, about history, about what? How?" So they say, "Oh, we need to go with you." So they carried me. Now I leave.
To the priest that came from Italy to investigate first, and then they took you with them.
I go with them, and they come, they pick me up. We go through Rwanda. They picked another girl there. I don't know why, who had also strange powers. So we fly from Rwanda to, now we go through France. We stay there for some time. And that's when I discovered that now I have been being moved from the African witchcraft, the crude witchcraft. Now I'm being initiated into the occult.
Okay, because you said that in the beginning that there's a difference between witchcraft and the occult. Can you just give us a basic definition of what's the difference?
The occult is a system. Actually, it's Satanism, the alliance of those that subscribe to Satan.
Mm.
Most witchcraft is about people's traditions and cultures, things they do and what they learn. But now this one is literally the worship of Satan as a figure. There, in witchcraft, about the spirits and the powers. But now then it's like a system, a religion. So when I went there, I'm put in a religious house where what happened there is the worst experience I went through. Because to break.
Okay. I just want to stop there for a second and distinguish witchcraft and occultism, because I don't know about you guys, but I always thought it was the same. I didn't realize there was a difference. But he's saying, I think that African witchcraft is just like a bunch of traditions and practices, but not necessarily structured or put in some sort of coherent way that everybody does at the same time. It's like different, I don't know, old wives' tales. That's the impression I got. And then occultism is essentially like Satanism. Like it's an organized practice of rituals and beliefs and systems and teachings. There's a lot of people practicing the occult these days too. Like, I don't know if you guys have noticed it, but I've definitely noticed a rise in occultism, a huge rise in occultism. I think everybody's searching for God, but not everyone has. Some people have searched for God and found themselves, if that makes sense. That's what it looks like, at least.
Break my will a second time, I have to be exposed to death and sexual abuse. So I am trained in the occult, but for the 5 years from 13 to 17, 18, almost every day I am molested and sexual abused.
Okay, this part you didn't share in the 2017 testimony I heard. What?
So by men, by priests. So like they have to do that on me. I've written this in my book. That's the most, because they want to pluck out every aspect of me and then use.
Wait, you're saying every day?
Almost every day for 5 years. So you during the day you are like what they call the altar boys. You are like you put on.
And this is in a religious Christian in quotes environment.
So during the day you are like a trainee being trained to be a priest. So you put on the gown, you attend mass, you do all this. Now when you go back to the house, what you call the brother's house, you are molested as a boy by these men. They abuse you, they do all kind of things to break you completely.
So my question is, with all the powers you had, did you?
Okay, before we get to the powers he had, that is disgusting and it's so sick. I'm almost going to throw up. And the idea that this is happening to multiple people, oh God, it's so awful. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't want this to be super dark. We will get to the light part of it. But yeah, that's rough. I'm going to skip forward a bit because, yeah, this is heavy.
Could you not use it against them?
Not.
You could not? How come?
Because Satan cannot destroy Satan.
Ooh!
But then you could use the powers to destroy other witches
who are lower than these ones.
Oh, were these in a higher ranking?
These are in a higher ranking because now it's not about the witchcraft and what it's about now, the system, the sorcery system, which rules the world. And they say, which controls all the powers of the world. It's more not just a local witch somewhere. It's now a satanic system that controls the world.
Wow. Okay.
Yeesh.
So that went on for all these.
Wow. He just said he was not able to use his powers against these people because they were higher ranking than him in the satanic cult, and Satan can't destroy Satan. Wow. By the way, Jesus said something like that. He said that Satan's kingdom can't fall if it's fighting against Satan.
So what does that mean in comparison to what you'd been before? Was this obviously sounds like a higher
This is a higher level, but also now you are you're not a servant. You now appear with them. Like now you've come into the ruling circle to decide. So the time you're going to make your guardian master, you return to Africa, because there are always like 5 in the entire continent. You're going to be part of this council of the guardian masters, and you're going to do our work, our system. You're not going to be in the witchcraft. You're going to be normal. You're going to go to university. You're going to have money. You're going to have an organization. You're going to work with leaders in the nation. You're going to work with them. So like you're going to be like a representative of this system in your country, but in the
region.
In the region.
It says there's only about 5 in the whole of Africa.
So I'm in charge of the Great Lakes region, another in charge of the Southern Africa, another in the Western, another in Northern, another in Sub-Saharan, all these regions. So when they told me, okay, now you're not going to be a slave or a servant. Now you're one of us. You're a leader. You're a great man. And all this. So they ordained me as a guardian master of that system, and they sent me back to Uganda to go and identify 5,000 young people and recruit them. Now the young people was to find the young people in universities. So I was to go and become a student in the university and identify bright students in medicine, in law, in education, and recruit them in Satanism from the university. So by the time they finish university, they're already recruited. So they go in the marketplace already. For example, this is a doctor, a surgeon, a lawyer, teacher.
So they're agents because they've already recruited and initiated.
But initially, very educated, so you cannot know. Like you can't say this doctor is a witch or this lawyer is an agent of witchcraft and all this. So my work was return to Uganda, go to the university, become a student there, identify such students, sponsor them, give them all they need, give them the best education, send them to different universities in the world, return to Uganda and take over the marketplace.
I think it's interesting that he said sponsor them. So he's going to these very smart people who might not have great means, and he's offering them everything they want in return. They don't even realize what they're getting into.
I felt like she is challenging me, and I felt angry. So in my mind, I'm like, what can I do? Can I kill her here? Or can I blind her? Or can I make her mad? And I could do that in a few minutes, just a few seconds. I've ever done that in several lives. So I knew I could. Okay,
I'm just going to pause and give some context here. So we skipped ahead a little bit, and now we're talking about how he came to know Christ. And he's talking about a girl that was in his university. This is now him talking about his universities. He's powerful, doing well, making money, and there's a girl that he encountered. So let's continue.
Turn to her, project into her eyes, and make her mad. So I said, okay, let me make her mad. She's going to undress, walk naked through campus until I return. So I turned to her to do that in my mind. And then when I looked at her eyes, to project to her eyes, flashes of light, bolts of light were coming from her eyes and were hitting me like thrice. I said, what have I seen? I look at the guy again. I'm hit. Then I'm saying, what kind of person is this? I've found many thousands, bishops, pastors. What kind of this? So I look at her another time, and every time that flash hits me, the powers disappear. She hits me, the power, and she's not saying a word, just looking at me. Then I knew now it's battle.
Now it's battle.
Oh.
Because I had never encountered.
Okay, I was not expecting that. So that actually, the disarmament that he experienced when this person looked at him didn't actually make him like draw back. He actually was like more emboldened to fight her because of this. That's crazy. Okay, let's hear what happened.
Such kind of power.
Mm.
I never seen. And what kind of girl was this? I just thought it was just a young lady. So I really now had to summon support, project and call witches and wizards in the territory. All those that were serving under me.
Right there on the spot, you're communicating to witches and wizards all around, summoning their powers.
Summoning the powers to come and help me. So in just a few minutes, 600 of them are around me. She cannot see them, but they are now around me. They are invisible to her. But me, I know I have an army of 600. So what I need to do now is all of the 600 form together and attack her at once. In that 600 forces join into one.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to be bold enough to look at her one more time and then project, then all the 600 can attack.
Hmm.
So she's standing there, and the Lord just told her, she told me later, the Lord told her, be still and know that I'm God. And then the Lord told her, be calm. So in all this, I'm closing my eyes, I'm looking at her. She maintains a smile.
Wow.
It's like the smile that's like saying, I'm in charge. And she's just looking at me. So I look at her, and now I want the 600 to come at her, to attack her. And where she's standing, I'm not seeing her. I'm just seeing a pillar of light connecting into heaven.
Wow.
In a place. And then I look into the pillar of light. A man, now I know it's Jesus, he's looking at me.
Wow.
Just look at me. Now, the moment his eyes touched my eyes, I saw the 600 taking off in 600 direction, screaming and running, including Lucifer himself. He was present.
Just take a minute. Yes, yes, Jesus. Praise God. I just want to take a minute. You're good, God. We love you. All right, let's continue. Sorry.
I didn't know that time. They were like, I could see, and she does, I'm just saying all these demons from childhood are leaving instantly just by a look. You know, there's this thing people say that there's a wrestling between Jesus and Satan. It's impossible. Satan and his demons cannot fight when Jesus appears. No, he can't.
Yes. Get it straight. It is not an equal fight between the demons and Jesus. That's not even a comparison. Not even close. They cannot be in his presence.
Yeah.
They can't. There's like, oh, the devil is attacking Jesus. It's impossible. No. It can't. It can't. Why? Every knee bows and every tongue. So when he appears, Satan cannot put up a fight. There's no wrestling between the two. He has to run away. He has to go. And I don't know where he goes, but he has to go because I saw that moment. He just looked at me. No wrestling, no fight, no shouting, no like fire and what. Just looked at me in that pillar of light and everything.
But you were disarmed.
Disarmed.
You fell on the floor.
So I'm standing.
Oh, you're standing. Okay.
I'm standing. So but my eyes closed because now for the first time, I'm demonless. No demon, no spirit on me. I'm like human. So I opened my eyes to look at him and say, what kind of person is this? Now, when I opened my eyes another time, the pillar is not there. The man is not there. The girl is standing there. You get what I'm talking about? So, and now I just know I'm disarmed. I'm in fear for the first time in my life because I don't have a spirit. I look at her and then the Lord tells her, go to him. She begins to walk towards me. And every step she takes is like an earthquake. I could feel the ground. Like the Lord is causing me to know who she is in the spirit. She's a giant. So she's moving and the ground is shaking. The foundation is shaking. Steps. Then she comes near me and I cannot run away because I've been now arrested. I've been arrested. I can't, my feet are bound. I can't run away. And I'm in fear. I don't know what she's going to do to me. So she looks at me and then she gives me a hug. That was my first hug in life. at 24.
What?
I had never been hugged. So she hugged.
He's been molested, raped, tortured, all this stuff, but never hugged. And he's sitting there talking so eloquently and like seems so well adjusted. That's only by the grace of God. That is incredible. And it's amazing how God's love can completely melt away all these evil things. Thank you, God, for that. Thank you.
Hugs me and she says, James, Jesus loves you.
Amen.
And you don't know what that word did to me.
Amen.
I felt like all my faculties were being formed. Like for the first time in life, I cried. That was the first time I cried.
The first time you cried at 24.
I cried at 24. So she gives me this hug and I begin crying and she began crying. But the cry is like a baby and a mother getting back a baby. So she's holding me tight and I'm crying like a baby. And she's also crying. And I don't know what's going on. But during the crying, there's love. There's all my emotions are being revived. It's like I'm becoming human the first time. So she's hugging me. And then after minutes of crying and crying, then by the time some other students are gathering around us.
And they're wondering what's going on.
And they're saying, this is a witch, we know him. This is a believer, Christian. And they're hugging and they are crying. So they're wondering, who is capturing?
Who's conversing who?
Who's converting who? And so they're forming a circle around me.
Oh my word.
So after
That's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing that he was disarmed. He was disarmed with exactly the opposite of everything that's been abusive to him, with love and gentleness and acceptance. And God is so good. God is so good. God is so good. That's all to say about that. God is so good.
And I want to say that in all this, Jesus is Lord. Because if it was not the power of Jesus Christ, the 23 years I've known the Lord, now going to 24th year, I always tell people, I saw Satan and the power of the devil, the power of darkness, but there's the greatest of all power, which is Jesus Christ. And that's the starting point. If you have not given your life to Jesus Christ, you need to. If you doubt, but also I always tell people, if you are in the occult, you may initiated, or you initiated yourself, or a friend or a family, that's not the end. You can get out. I always tell people, if Jesus delivered me, everyone can be delivered.
Amen.
If Jesus delivered me, because especially in Africa, even in other parts of the world, people that have found themselves trapped in occultism, in witchcraft, in satanism, in all other kind of things, and other things that people are getting involved, which are tormenting their souls. There's one who loves your soul, who is Jesus Christ. And he still calls us to come out of it, come out of that bondage, come out of that fear. Seek help, seek the healing of your soul and the deliverance of your life, because that is the way out.
Amen.
I thank God who saved me, and I thank God who healed me. My journey took 10 years. Yours does not mean it will take 10 years. It may take a few days. Mine took 10 years because maybe it was a lot, or I had not found truth to deliver me, because it's the truth that delivers you.
Free, yeah.
So if I found truth that delivered me, it took me 10 years. For you, it can take like a few months. I've seen people, in one of the things God has been using me to deliver people from the occult all over the world, where God said, in our churches, in our ministries, that's my ministry, to deliver people, young people in universities, in homes, who have gone into the powers of Satanism. Our viewers, the one watching, may think it's far-fetched. I've seen pastors say, I don't believe in that. It's not there until it's their son. When a son says, Daddy, I'm involved in this. I'm involved in the occult. I'm involved in Satanism. And we're in days when it's everywhere, in our homes, in our schools, in our churches, in our communities. But sometimes we live in denial. It's time to open up our hearts to the Lord. If there's anyone, because you've seen in many pastors' children who have been taken into, they call it rebellion, but behind them, there are spirits. They have been possessed. They've been, taken captive. And there must be, God is raising an army of intercessors to break the powers of darkness and rescue people from captivity. When Jesus said, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, in Luke 4:18, He has anointed me to preach news to the poor. He has sent me. So that Luke 4:18 and downward, it's about opening prisons and dealing with captivity. Because captivity, some people were initiated by their parents. Others, they were in ritual abuse. They were taken to places and sexual abuse, but as a ritual to initiate them. Others by friends, like in Uganda, I've seen young people in school that were initiated into Satanism, into occultism by their friends. And they found themselves in these societies, secret societies, and then they are trapped. But Jesus said in the book of Matthew 16:26, what will it profit a man to eat the world and then lose his own soul? So I want to tell our people that have been watching this testimony, don't lose your soul.
Well, guys, that was a lot, but it ended beautifully. I highly encourage you to go watch the entire video and listen, because he has so many lessons and things that he talks about that are beautiful. And if you're watching this channel, you probably also believe in the spiritual realm, as do I. And we have to pray for each other and love each other. As you know, that's the main message that people come back from the dead with. I think that's his message as well, is follow Jesus, love people. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this channel and you haven't yet subscribed, please go ahead and do so. Click the subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks, guys. Bye.